Welcome to We Need to Talk. Today's special guest is Mahalia. Introduce yourself.
What's up? Mahalia. Lead singer of 2 Mile Hill. So performing and recording artist. Dancer on hiatus. Recent mom. Recent author. Visual artist, so people might not know. Bajan. Yeah, that's me.
Okay. So, pick a number between 1 and 10.
8.
8.
8 is my jam.
What is your weirdest talent?
Weirdest talent? I feel like a lot of the time I feel like all talents are weird. So I don't know how to choose a weirdest talent.
I guess one that a lot of people wouldn't know. You just said visual artist, so I guess you can go with that one.
Well, I guess I won't really consider that weird, but yes, I'm a visual artist. Art. I actually had to choose between art and music at school, which was devastating for me. But definitely an artist through and through, true and through. What's the right thing? True and true, through and through, whatever. But yeah, I actually, if anybody is ever...
That's really Bajanism just come out pretty true and
I
true.
was not going to say it. If anybody is on my book, Bajanisms, and you flip through it and you see some art in between the pages, that's art that I did. So that's where somebody could see my art, because my art isn't really out there in the world for people to see unless I kind of share on my social media and what have you. But
why isn't it out there for everyone to see?
It just never became something that I felt to share on a wider scale. Like I never really had given it the thought to share it on a wider scale, because it was something that I kind of just did for myself. Much like dancing, like being a dancer, that was just something I did for myself. And
I was in Mahalia's ballet class.
Yes. And so if you didn't come to a recital, then you wouldn't see me. And it's only, I think, maybe 2017 where I danced in one of 2 Mile Hill's music videos where people would have actually seen me dancing, right? So that's really the case with the visual art. I just never thought of it as something to share on a wider scale before maybe COVID, actually. Maybe during the pandemic, I think, is when everybody was like turning their talents into a side hustle and, monetizing and all these things. And I thought, why not? And it's still not out there as much as it could be, but I am using it in between some of the other stuff and kind of sprinkling it out there more and more every once in a while.
Okay. So before we get into the mental health question, I want to know your story. So let's start from baby Mahalia and your introduction into the arts, music. Where did that come from?
If you're liking this episode, please like, subscribe, press the bell notification, share, and comment.
Okay, so, baby Mahalia grew up in a home that was chock full of people all the time. Just very full household. My mom, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my uncles, my cousins, we all lived together in the same house in a little neighborhood in Prince Hill. And my mom, she wasn't in the choir, but she was always into music and into singing. We had a record player. She would play records. We had Ready Fusion, which was on all the time. So you're hearing news sometimes, but in between the news and talking, it was always music. So the music was just on in the house all the time. My dad was in a choir. I think he was a choir master of his church. And whenever we would go in the car, he would have music on all the time. So I assuming maybe that's where it kind of infiltrated my DNA. But my mom would tell me from little I would always be humming and making my own tunes, or I would always remember ads on the radio or songs on the radio and just be singing them all the time. Singing at Sunday school, church choir, school choir, going to Nexcyx and school choir and stuff. And it just always felt so natural and normal to be singing and dancing. But really just being engrossed in music and rhythm, it just was natural and normal for me from jump. So I feel like it kind of just, but like, let me take a pause because like having that happen and then you do music at school and you play the recorder badly and all of that, there was never really
I
to
still
me.
don't understand why we all learned to play the recorder.
I feel like it is one of the most rudimentary instruments, and it does help teaching you melody and timing and all of that stuff. And I think the man was just like, all right, the recorder is probably the easiest thing for these little children to play. Like imagine trying to teach first formers a violin or you know some other thing.
But to be fair, when I was in primary school, I actually learned how to play the violin. At school, like they brought in somebody to teach us how to play violin. Like they had us rent violins, and that's what I learned on. So then when I got to the whole recorder thing, I was just like, what are we doing?
Okay.
Why are we doing
this? Fair. That is fair.
But now that you bring that up, that makes sense.
Yeah, I just feel like it was in their minds was easiest thing.
Also most cost efficient.
There you go, cost effective. Yeah. So like having done all of that, it still didn't feel like music. Still felt very much like a hobby, just generally in my thoughts. Just I guess maybe living here and having a lot of expectations be based in academic success. So as much as I loved it, it never felt like something to have a career in. So it was just kind of like a thing that I loved. And then after being exposed to the world of the music industry, of the wider world, and seeing what celebrities are like and what their lives are like and stuff, that had me real upset. Like I was like, I don't even know that I want to be a celebrity though. Like if I was to do music and become successful, I know that I could live this life. You know what I mean? So I shied away from it a lot in terms of taking it further professionally until UE. So I went through school. I did computer science all the way through up to bachelor's at UE. But when I was at UE is when I met the guys that are in the band, Chris and Andre, and at the time Andre Ford, who was our drummer, Russell. And I really just could not escape the pull of music. Like it was just pulling me. And all the time I was still dancing, so I was still like connected to it, still singing at church and what have you. And the man was like, you want to come and sing with me? Because I can't remember. I think I had met Chris at summer school when we were in secondary school. And he knew that I could sing. And then I would have met Andre Ford at poetry events that I went to and went in the open mic, and he knew that I could sing. So we just got together and did some music and like performed in the guild at poetry events and stuff. Up until I graduated and I was in an interview for a job in computer science. I think it was a networking job or something. And it was just like a bell went off, or, you know, whatever you want, however you want, structure it. Like the Lord tell me, the universe tell me, whatever you want to call it. This is not what you are meant to be doing. You are meant to be doing music. It was like clear. So I just like, I left the people interview. I went along. Not rudely, like I politely declined the position, and I recommended somebody that I thought they should reach out to, and I left.
And then
and the rest is history. Well, I don't know. But I called my mom. And I told her what happened, and she was like, well, you know, if you, whatever it is you decide to do, I got you back, essentially. Like, if you feel like this is what you really need to be doing, you know, let me see where it goes. You got the degree already. Because she was always somebody who was like, you need to have something to fall back on. So, you know, so she was very supportive. I was very fortunate to not have a parent that was just like, you gotta get a real job. Yeah, she was supportive of the journey. And then the journey was a roller coaster from then to now. Like, you know, like becoming a band, an official band, getting management, performing in St. Lawrence Gap, in Shipping, in Jumbies, in, you know, McBride's, Bump on Wine Cafe, branching off into doing Mahalia's Corner, traveling and touring United States, college circuit, even winning the Hennessy competition, playing in France and other places. Brian Seacrest, all these things. It felt like it was happening very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And it also felt like we didn't really know where we're going though. Like we're just going forward, but where to where, you know? And so then you come across a lot of people that help you get where you need to get, and you find yourself in spaces where you didn't think you would ever be, and you learn a lot of things on like trial by fire. Like you just learn things on the spot, on the go, that you can really prepare yourself for otherwise. And you come across a lot of people that give you advice that's good and not so good. And it kind of just taught us that you gotta just take what you can from all of the experiences. Like, and when you look back and realize, oh, we could have done something differently, then you still gotta realize that you are where you are now because of all of these things, good and bad, you know. So yeah, like, and here we are.
What was your mental health like? The anxiety of starting something like a band?
Okay, so at the time when we started playing music together, we just started playing because we wanted to play music, and we didn't actually have the idea of becoming a band, an official band. Like we didn't really have that in mind at the time. We just wanted to play music because all we was doing saying that wasn't music, right? So we just got together and started doing it, and then all the other stuff kind of happened organically. So it wasn't really, for me personally, there wasn't a moment or a time where I had a moment to be anxious, and or at least it didn't feel like that at the time. But again, in retrospect, looking back at how a lot of things went and how I was feeling as they were happening, I do believe, or I do realize now, that a lot of my responses and behaviors were due to anxiety. And I was just like, yeah, wait a minute. Wait a minute. This was this and that was that. And like at the time, I didn't really know or understand that that's what it was. But looking back, you could tell like certain interactions with people and my guardedness and, you know, just certain things I could tell were definitely anxiety based. But at the time, because it was a group too, there was also a sense of security that I feel maybe solo artists don't have. And so I was just like, all right, well, let's just going along for this journey. For a lot of the time, I was just like, I can place my trust in this team and I can just go, right? So yeah, that's regarding like my mental state. That's just where I put myself. Like I put myself in the boat. I ain't driving it. I just going along with it.
Who would you say is the driver of the boat?
Well, no, I think we all have a hand in driving it. At the time when we were really young and green and ignorant to a lot of things that happen, other than just like people saying this and people saying that. So I think the people with the stronger senses of maybe what they knew of the industry already were maybe the ones taking the reins and pushing us forward further. So I was not that person. I definitely was not that person, and I was happy to not be that person, you know. But it probably would have benefited me more to be there sometimes, or maybe to step forward and say more, or to not back down if I did say something I felt like I wasn't heard, you know. But now we are a self-managed entity, and we have been for some time, and that's after experiencing a lot of the stuff that comes with not being in charge of your own destiny, I guess. So,
is that why there was a name change?
No, actually, the name change came for a much simpler reason. The name change came because we were finding that people had a lot of difficulty finding Nexcyx because they didn't know how to spell it.
Mhm.
So even though like it was a point made to make sure you say the name of the band, make sure you say the name of the band. Like even before we were Nexcyx, when we were infrared, like when we would perform at shipping and wherever else, it will always be a point to make sure you tell people the name of the band so they could, find you. And so when it became Nexcyx, and I would say the name like maybe 15 times on the stage, and then afterwards here, like when you go down in the crowd, people will come and say, "So what's the name of the band?" And I would have to say it again and spell it for it. So how do you spell that? So if people didn't ask us how to spell it, and maybe we see them again, we'd be like, "I was looking for y'all, but I couldn't find you." And I was like, "How do you spell it?" And they would be like, "Nexcyx." "Oh, that's not how you spell it." So then I would have to spell it again. And then even in newspaper articles and stuff, and when we would see people report on something that we did, it would always be spelled incorrectly. Always be spelled incorrectly. And when we ask people, "How you spell Nexcyx?" 95% of the time people spell it incorrectly.
Mhm.
So that was the biggest driving force in changing the name. It was a hard decision to make because we had actually done a lot as Nexcyx, like in the public eye and in the wider world, not just in Barbados. So it was a difficult decision to make.
The Gossip Girl era.
Correct. Correct. The France era, all of that stuff. Barbados Music Awards, when there was that, all of that was Nexcyx, but it felt like it was more important for people to be able to find us, to book the band to come and play at things. So if you see us performing somewhere, you want to book us, and then you can't find the band because you can't spell the name, then both people lose. So we bit the bullet and decided to change it.
What does it feel like having people sing things back to you, like your own songs back to you?
Oh wow, that's one of the best feelings actually, and I think maybe for any artist, any musician, to know that people actually know something that you created from scratch, because we also are audience members to other musicians, and we also sing back music that we love. So we know what it feels like to sing back somebody else's music. So to be on the receiving end of it is an experience like nothing else, for sure.
And going globally, and what's it like meeting those fans that don't even necessarily speak English, but they love your work? How does that feel? What's that interaction like?
It's mind blowing, but like when you start to talk to people, then you realize that they're people just like you. So as amazing as it is amazing on more than one level, because it's amazing on stage when you see it happening, and then when you talk to the people and they tell you how much they love the music and stuff, it's just a little different feeling. It's a more personal, real, connected feeling. Like when you actually speak to somebody and you realize, oh, this is a person, and they're like me, they like my stuff as another person, as another human, and it's very cool, and like it's less sensational. Like it's more, you know what I mean? Like it's more something like this.
Do you remember any stories, or like have any memorable stories that somebody would have like told you based on their interactions with you, your art, your work?
The more recently there's been a lot of connections made due to the pandemic and being in lockdown and having released the music. We released them because that's where we released Talk to Me. And that song is a song that clearly did a lot more for people than I would ever have thought, because we wrote Talk to Me in 2017. I recorded it with Buddy. Well, I wrote it with Buddy and recorded it. Never released it. And then the pandemic happened in 2020, and it was like, no, it's time. It feels like now is the time that people need this message of this song, because all this misinformation flying about, rumors and panic and distress and lockdown and anxiety and depression and isolation and all these things. And to me, and not just to me, to all the guys, it was just like this song. Clearly, we didn't release this song because we had to release it now.
Mm-hmm.
So we released "Talk to Me," and the floods of messages that we received and that I received, I'm sure they received too, and the band page, the band account, in the DMs of people talking about how the song touched them or made them really like get them a different perspective of life and what's happening and is what they needed right now and stuff. Like it was just unbelievable to me because it was not something I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And it also prompted me to talk about my personal journey with anxiety and where I was at and depression and being an artist and like whatever what was going on right now, not being able to work as art, all them things.
Mm-hmm.
So after prompting me to do that and share my story publicly, then the messages start coming in like, oh my gosh, I would never know you with this and that's and third and I this and that's and the third, and like I made actually quite a few friends in being able to speak directly to people that felt they could relate to what I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what was that like as an artist in COVID, not being able to work, not being able to earn money the same way?
That was scary, boy. That was like when you really don't know what the future holds, like at all. Because it's one thing to know what you want to try to do, but you don't know how you can do it. And then there's another thing to know, like, can you even do anything, like, ever again? Like, what's going to happen from here? I gotta like change careers, I gotta try to find some way to live. And so it was very, very scary in that respect. But then because I was actually in quite not a good place mentally before that, and dealing with depression and anxiety before that happened, the pause actually gave me a moment to regroup and be introspective and step back and sort out myself. You know what I mean? Like I had a moment to actually sort out myself, because I think what's happened is even when you realize that this anxiety like beating you down, you don't get a moment to say, all right, let me step back from these things that causing this anxiety or that are compounding it and come back. Like let me step back and sort this out and come back. Like you don't get a moment because we try to live. So like we just be going. And the lockdown from the pandemic gave me a moment to be able to do that. So then after I was able to kind of do that and start that process, then I felt that my mind had the space and the time to tap into other things. And that's actually where Bajonisms came from, the actual book. That's where I was able now to apply my other talents and my other desires and passions into something that could help me live through the pandemic. You know what I mean? So, and thanks to the NCF too for extending that assistance to creatives in that time where we could apply for a grant to bring a project to fruition that could help us live in that time where we weren't out there doing our thing physically for an audience, Yeah, it's a lot.
And then coming out of the pandemic, what was it like going back into music?
It was kind of strange and tentative because it was different for a moment because we had to like wear masks and be like distance and all of that. And I was like, this is everything weird. But like I guess before that, everybody started doing online concerts and that was weird in itself because you're performing to nobody and pretending that you're performing to people. But so it was gradual. It wasn't like a start kind of no, you gotta perform in this weird way. So it was a gradual kind of reintroduction, and then so we decided, okay, let me maybe do a Mahalia's Corner, a virtual Mahalia's Corner, and get the cohesion back of playing together as a band, even though it wouldn't be in front of a live audience. So when we do get back in front of people, is not a like really really weird experience. So I think that kind of helped it be more gradual and not as shocking.
Did you guys get a lot of support during that time?
When you say support, you mean
From like the audience, not just people like families, but like people coming out, as in like logging on and watching and.
Oh, well, yeah, actually, being a millennial, like sometimes social media is just be like, oh my gosh, do I have to, like, so like all of the live streams and things that I was seeing people doing, was like, is this about this here though? Especially dealing with the anxiety that I was dealing with too. Yeah, I want to be like on a live stream every day. That's how I felt personally, like honestly. So like there was also the anxiety of like everybody could see how much people are on your live stream. Like supposedly we're on live and we got like 2 people. You know what I mean?
But you still got to pretend like they got like 500 people watching.
Correct. Which is not unfamiliar, because there were times as a live band where we performed to like 5 people. We had to pretend that it had 10,000 people in the venue, but it just
sometimes those 5 people is the hype people.
That's
and you
like
don't
you can
need
connect with 5 people
Yep.
a lot easier than 10,000 people.
Yep.
That's true. But it. Wait, what were we talking about? This is mom brain,
The support.
right? The support.
Right.
Yeah, but then after doing it a few times, because there were a few different things that we did online over the time, like you did see that as long as people knew we were doing it, then people would come and the interaction was always good, no matter what it was, because there were times when I was just doing like singing covers or like playing back some of our older songs and singing along, and there would be people like, oh yeah, I remember this song, and like the comments would be going up and the hearts would be going up, and because of Jordan English ones in chat and all these things. So then it actually became something that was like a positive aspect of what was going on, and adding to the good vibes and the upward feelings.
And now that you've said mommy brain, what has that been like, being a new mom?
that is, oh Lord, that is like, I didn't even know how to describe it. All the things that people say about becoming a parent are true, even though they sound like cliches. Like your entire life changes, and your mentality about life in general changes, and your priorities change. Everything is about making sure that your child is good. And so from the pregnancy all the way through the pregnancy, everybody is different. My pregnancy was not a great experience for me, and I had a lot of support, which I don't know I would have survived if I had it. And then after having Sloan, like people would always say, "But it's be so worth it." And like during the pregnancy, it was like, "What are you talking here?" I mean, I get that when I get a child, I can be like, "Oh, it's my child," but this here, so like, you know, I didn't know that I can forget what this was like when I see this child face, and I haven't. But then when I saw her in person, when she was a person in the world, then it was just like, yeah, this was worth it. This was worth it. Everything I endured to get this human being on the earth was worth it. And the experiences, like, it's just so unique. I tried my best to document for people what it was really like, because I found that I wasn't seeing, at the time anyway, I wasn't seeing a lot of people talking about the real experience. Like, I only had TV to go on, and people that had children a long time ago that like maybe don't remember a lot of this stuff. So there were a lot of things that were happening to me that I was like, did this happen? And I was like Googling and asking my doctor and searching just for people that had experiences that I could relate to, and I wasn't finding a lot. So it was like, I tell her everything. I'm telling y'all everything that I experienced just in case somebody out there feel like me, right? And then there were quite a lot of people who was like, oh yes. And then people were like, oh yes, I remember this, or I remember that. So it's really a true thing that some of the memories really fade, especially in the time before social media where you could just go back and look and see. So I endeavor to do that. And the biggest one, like you said, is the mom brain, because I hear people talking about it, heard people talking about it, and I was like, it really that serious? But it is really that serious. It is really that serious. Like your brain just does not work like it used to. Multitasking is non-existent. Memory is terrible. Reasoning sometimes is terrible. Trying to like deduce things is a lot more difficult. It takes a lot longer. It's affect everybody differently too, but those things I think may be universal. And then even after having the baby, it just doesn't go back to normal. Like it changes and evolves, I guess, as the needs of your child evolve, but it doesn't go back to normal. You still have issues doing things that you consider normal things that you did a lot more easily before becoming pregnant. But apart from that, it's just it's the most wonderful thing that I've experienced, to be honest. It is very, very tiring and very, very demanding. And I think the thing that I struggle with the most is the relentlessness of it. Like, we all know that you're a parent all the time, right? But in a physical sense, having to care constantly for somebody because they rely on you for everything. You don't ever really get a break, because like, and that's mental and physical, because even if she's at a stage now where we could hire a nanny, where we are comfortable hiring a nanny or leaving her with them or what have you. But even then, like, it's just like on my mind all the time. Like, she good, she need anything. So like, you don't even really get a chance to relax. So like, it's just relentless. If I'm sick, if I got work to do, if my mom, like right now, as we're recording this, my mom is in the hospital for something that happened suddenly. So like, I had to get up and leave her here with my husband and get out to my mother to help. And like, so I was like, oh my gosh, I like just split. My mental game is like all over the place because, you know, anxiety of what's going on with my mom, anxiety of shoot, like the things that I have to do this morning for my child I can't do because I got home. So like, it's just like relentless. You don't ever get a moment really, like, I guess for 18 years as a child growing up. But and that being said, at the same time, it's just an amazing thing. It's amazing to see her absorb the world and learn things and get 2 inches taller between morning and night. And you know, that sort of thing. The changes happen so quickly. And that's another thing that people say that sounds like a cliche, but you don't realize how true it is until you experience it.
Do you think that you have changed and like how your interactions with friends, family, and even work has changed?
Oh, definitely. If it's one thing for sure, I am very different when it comes to what I allow, what I can tolerate, what I'm patient with, and how I feel about the things that I feel. So I was very much a people pleaser. I was very much a mediator and a make sure everybody good caretaker type of person. I got one child. So whatever it is you got to do, sort out yourself. Whatever it is you need, sort out yourself. If you need me to do something that's gonna interfere with my life right now and how I need to take care of my family and my child, sort out yourself. I become someone now who can say no a lot more easily. It was hard for me to say no because I always used to feel like, "Man, I feel like I could shift this and shift that and sort it out for you." No, no comes very easily for me now, and I feel like I wish that was the case before. But now I'm grateful that I have a perspective that allows me to do that, because it just used to feel like me not trying hard enough.
Draining to be a people pleaser. It's literally so draining.
It is draining, and it is a lot. I see it and feel it a lot more now that I have shifted my mentality away from it. So I can say no a lot more easily, and I am a lot more patient. I felt like I was losing my patience with age, because I used to be very, very patient, and I feel also that came from feeling like I had to make sure I wasn't difficult. And I felt as I was getting I felt as I was getting older, like my patience was actually decreasing. But now I feel like I'm a lot more patient, but it's from a different place. It's not from a place of like being patient so that you feel better. Is that I'm more patient now so that I could understand what's going on and make an informed decision for my own benefit, or to make sure that I am good and not that you are good.
Do you think that you lost people, got stronger bonds?
I can't say that I lost anyone that I noticed. I don't think I lost anyone. I've always had really strong bonds with my people. As I was saying, my village has been very, very present, very, very supportive, and evolved in their roles as the time passed. I mean, there are people who I was very, very close to when I was younger who are not that close to me, like in a physical sense, but their presence is still there, the love is still there, and I know that if I needed them, I could call on them, and vice versa. But I don't think I lost anyone. I think the bonds changed and evolved. I guess some of them definitely are stronger, but they have always been strong. So it just feels like a reinforcement of the connections that have already been here in the life.
I think that's pretty much all the questions that I had.
All right.
Do you have anything that you want to share about mental health, that you want to say?
I think when it comes to mental health, one of the biggest things for me that I learned through my experiences is you really need to talk. And again, it's just bringing me back around to talk to me, because I didn't know how profound that song really was going to be, right? Ooh. But you really gotta talk, man. You gotta talk to somebody. It ain't gotta be a family member. It ain't gotta be a psychologist or therapist. But if you could actually just say some of this stuff out loud to somebody, you'll realize a lot of things that you probably didn't realize trying to mull it over in your own mind. And that's the first step, I find. Because after you say it out loud and it makes it more tangible, then the options kind of open up, and you realize a next step that you could take, or something that you could change, just a small thing that might help. And to me, that's like some of the most important steps that you could take, just the first step. And then the potential is endless.
So I would like you to pick a number between, I don't know what number these are now. 1 and 5.
2.
Okay, as we wrap up, is there a piece of wisdom or a motto that you live by?
Oh, okay. So this is kind of recent, and it came from, I don't even know where it came from. I think maybe it came again from having Sloan and having mom brain, and realizing that I have to focus on one thing at a time and multitasking, like kind of stop trying to multitask. But I noticed that in life, in larger aspects of life, we need to give things the respect they deserve. So find moments to give all of your attention to something. So instead of you on your phone doing this thing, but you writing an email, or you doing some work, but you doing some other thing at the same time, or whatever, something as, I guess, cliche as driving and texting or whatever it is that you feel like you could split your attention and do this at the same time. I mean, yes, sometimes there are times when that is beneficial, but a lot more of the time than we believe, it is more beneficial to give all of your attention to something and then give all of your attention to something else. And that has become something that is just there in my mind all the time, and it manifested in my mind as give things the respect they deserve.
Okay. That was a deep one. That was deep. All right. So thank you so much for taking time out, especially when you have mommy life and life being so busy, to take the time to talk to me, do the podcast.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me. I almost made it all the way through without tears, but it is what it is.
I think apparently I have this thing where I make people cry.
I'm just crying though. I'm a crier. I'm a crier, so I ain't gonna put that on you.
My clients will say it different. They will say, Simone is make us cry every single time we come into our office. But don't let that scare you.
Crying is good, man.
It is. It's cathartic.
It's
just
definitely.
like, ooh, after you get a good cry, you're like, I could go and do whatever it is that was taking too much.
Correct.
Anyways, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you